Hello and welcome to another episode of Excellent Sports Talk with Mark. I am your host, as always, Mark Bradley, and I appreciate everybody who came out for another week of the show. As always, I do appreciate everybody coming out that and that you guys are here as always. And as I'm getting everything set up, we are going to talk about some good topics today. We're going to have some great topics today. Is Of course, it wouldn't be a show if I didn't have the NBA on there. So we are going to go ahead and let's take a step back. We're first going to discuss about week 10 and 11 in the NFL. Some good games that went on that we definitely have to talk about. And so we are going to go ahead and do that. And then we also are going to talk about the NBA draft. And we're going to talk about, we gave our top 5 last week of the NBA draft. And now now that we know who is going where we are going to go ahead and speak on that. And also we are going to discuss the NBA free agency. NBA free agency is tomorrow, and it's a big deal. Everybody loves this time in the NBA. This is like the make or break time of the NBA season. You never know what can happen. So we are going to go ahead and discuss that as well. So as always, I appreciate everybody who came out. If you guys want to go ahead and comment on any of the sports topics that we have this week, by all means, please put it in and we can go ahead and discuss it. And yeah, we can go ahead and talk about your favorite team and what do you expect the NBA free agency or your NFL team, if they're any good or they're any bad. Because look, we know some of your teams are bad, but it's okay. Somebody has to be bad. So anyway, so let's go ahead and start with the NFL. The NFL has been going rapidly. This seems like this season has been going by so fast, and we're already at week 10, which is pretty crazy. And so now that we are here at this time, we want to go ahead and discuss it. And let me do some housekeeping issues. I think I did it. There we go. So let's go ahead, and I had to fix that because it was all spaced together. But anyway, so week 10 was a great week, and we had wanted to highlight some of the best games of this week, and we're also going to preview the next week as well. So let's go ahead and look at a couple of games that really had big significant meaning. So let's go ahead and start off with how do we want to start off? You know what? Let's go ahead and start off with the Colts and Titans. And the reason why this was a big game is because the Colts, who is a good team this year, is a very surprisingly good team. They play well defensively, and they do enough on offense to help them win games. And so with this week, they played the Tennessee Titans, who is also another good team in the division in the AFC South. Both of those teams are trying to get into that first place position. And this was a big game for the Colts, right? Because now they are ahead in the division. And now that they are the head of the division, they don't have to worry about the wild card, which is very competitive this year. They don't have to worry about, trying to figure out who's going to be where, things of that nature. So the Colts managed to win 34-17 against the Tennessee Titans. And like I said, it was a very good defensive game for the Tennessee Titans. They was able to put Derrick Henry in check. And look, the Colts has a excellent run defense. You know, with the addition to DeForest Buckner coming over from San Francisco, Darius Leonard, who was already a stud in his rookie year, and he's just doing the same thing his second year in the league. This team has a great run defense, just a great defense in general, and they're helping them win games right now. And so, with the Colts, you know, now that they're kind of fighting back and forth for the division with the Tennessee Titans, this is going to help them, especially if they have a tiebreaker coming at the end of the year. And if they manage to beat Tennessee again later down the season, then look, they could win the division and possibly have a home game. Because we all know that the NFL playoffs it's a little bit different this year. And so, you know, it's a lot more teams that has a lot more opportunities to make the playoffs. So these two teams are right in the thick of things. Trying to get that playoffs position. Either they're going to win the division or they're going to make the wild card. I mean, both of these teams are pretty much, unless there's like a big like falling off somewhere between these two teams, I think they're going to be able to make the playoffs, either the wild card or the division, for either the Colts or the Tennessee Titans. So we really have to look out for that division, okay? Because, you know, that's going to be a big deal for these two teams, you know, because both of these teams we never expect to really make the playoffs. Although Tennessee Titans did make it to the AFC Conference Finals, which is a surprise to everybody. I don't think anybody really thought that they would make it that far. But they've shown now that they're still a good team, and they're still playing hard in their division. So I just wanted to go ahead and highlight that game. Phillip Rivers played well with 308 passing yards and 1 touchdown. You know, Michael Pittman, he played the great game. And like I said, they was able to keep Derrick Henry in check. It was able to keep him in check and not let him go crazy and run wild. So those are two teams that's really going to be in the division hunt. And so let's go ahead and continue on with another game. There's another couple of games we really have to talk about because we really have to look as far as wild card seedings. And the Cleveland Browns, another team who was able to win their game against the Houston Texans, 10-7. It was a nasty weather game. It's one of those slug it out, you know, old school running the ball type football game because the weather was so bad in Cleveland. They was able to win 10-7, and we all know Houston's run defense is really bad, and they took it. The Browns was able to take advantage of that with Nick Chubb coming back from his injury, and Kareem Hunt both had great games. Both were 100-yard rushers in that game. Nick Chubb had 126 rushing yards with 19 attempts and 1 touchdown, and Kareem Hunt also had 19 carries with 104 yards, but he wasn't able to score. But still, that's pretty impressive if you have 2 100-yard runners. And we all know Houston, their defense is not really that good. It's not really a good football team just in general, which is really sad because they have been competitive in the past couple of years, but just not this year, guys. And so the reason why I want to highlight this game is because Cleveland themselves are 6-3. Now, unfortunately, they play in like the best division of football in the AFC North because Pittsburgh is still undefeated and Baltimore is also very good. So they're still fighting for that wild card playoff spot, but they're still on the outside looking in because there are other teams that we're going to get to that are playing very well as of right now. So look, Cleveland, I think it's all surprised to see where they are right now. They took a big step up, and I think everybody expected them to do so. And look, Baker Mayfield still need to figure some things out, but they're still able to win games. I mean, that Russian attack, that two-headed monster with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb is a talented duo that's going to help them win a lot of games. Because when you can run the ball, you're not really predictable, and that could open up a lot of play action passes where Baker Mayfield is very comfortable in that situation. And look, they could continue to win games and really, try to get into that wild card position. So we have to look out for them as a wild card team. So let's go ahead and continue on to the Dolphins and Chargers. And this is another game that I had to highlight because the Dolphins are shocking everybody this year with their record of 6-3. They're really competitive right now. Their defense is very well. It seems like Tua Tagovailoa is playing very well as a rookie starting quarterback who just was basically through in the fire a couple of weeks ago. But they're playing well. They was able to beat the Los Angeles Chargers, who's a very competitive team. But unfortunately, they lost a lot of close games, which really hurt them. But look, Miami is another team on the outside looking in. And as I go ahead and pull up the NFL standings, you really have to give credit to the whole Miami organization because they really held it together. And last year was so bad for them. It was so bad for them. And now that they are, so Miami is in the last wild card seeding, and so it's in the last couple of wild card seedings right now. So they're 6 right now, so they're in it right now. And so, with the Browns and the Titans, they're on the outside looking in. There's a lot of teams this year that are 6-3, which is pretty impressive, right? But I think sooner or later they're going to start weeding themselves out, and we're all going to know who's going to be the playoff teams. But Miami is really playing well. And also, we're going to highlight another wild card team, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders, who's also 6-3. And they are currently right now in the 5th spot. So they're number 1 in the wild card seeding as of right now. And so they was able to beat the Denver Broncos 37-12. Their defense finally took a big step up, was able to create 5 turnovers in that game, which they was one of the bottom worst in the league of creating turnovers and also getting sacked. So their defense took a big step up. And the Las Vegas Raiders was able to run the ball all throughout the game with both Devontae Booker and Josh Jacobs, who both had 2 touchdowns apiece, right? And so with the Raiders, they're playing very well. They're able to their offense is able to carry them into playoff contention. Their offense is very good. They complete third downs. They complete third down plays where they need to. They're able to score the ball. Now that defense, they need a lot of help. Still, they was able to have their best game of the season last week with all the turnovers, but they're taking a big step up in weight class this week, playing the Chiefs, and a lot of their defense is on the COVID-19 list. But if they're able to test negative, then they're able to play this week. But if not, it's going to be hard to see not Kansas City going up and down the field against them, to be honest with you. But like I said, the Raiders are playing very well. They play very well on the road. I think they're 4-1 on the road right now, which is very good. I think their only losses against New England. So they're playing very well. They're playing very well right now. If they can keep this up, then look, they're going to be a playoff team. Derek Carr is having a great year this year, so you have to look out for the Raiders. And so the last game I want to talk about, and this really doesn't have much playoff implications because both of these teams are really good, but the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo I look like a mix of Chance the Rapper and Ice Cube. Hey man, I appreciate it. I never heard of Ice Cube, but hey, good luck. Ice Cube's one of my favorite rappers. But anyway, so look, So look, the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo Bills, man. Look, that was such a good game. Look, Josh Allen is a great quarterback. He's taken a big step up. Unfortunately, he did have turnover issues this game with 2 turnovers, but he was able to he was able to play well enough to get them an opportunity to win the game. But man, when you have a man like Hopkins, oh my goodness, DeAndre Hopkins is by far either the best receiver or one of the top 2. Like when I came in, I thought Julio, Michael Thomas, and were the top 2. I think those were the top 2, but look, DeAndre Hopkins really took that step up. And look, it was a last desperation heave from Kyler Murray. He was just running all outside the pocket, just threw it up. It was just like, look, I'm just throw it up there. Look, DeAndre Hopkins is back there, just throw it up there. And he was able to go up against 3 guys to catch the game-winning touchdown. Guys, when I saw that, I was at a loss of words. Like all I could say was like, wow, this man is absolutely crazy. He's a different human being. Like that man is so good. And he's showing it. He is showing it that he's that man. The whole game, he has seven receptions, 127 yards, and that game-winning touchdown. The man is he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. And with this, he was able to get a Madden rating of 99. And it's hard to get a 99 rating in Madden, but he was able to reach that threshold but he's more than deserving of it. That man is a great player. And he's just showing it. I didn't think that it would fit with. Look, from what I was thinking, I was like, okay, that was a good trade for Arizona, but I think it's going to take a couple of years for them to really get it together. Boy, was I wrong. They got it together instantly, and so it's working. This stuff is working for Arizona. And they're a good team. Unfortunately, they did lose last night against Seattle, who's a tough team. But look, the Cardinals are a great football team. Do not get me wrong. The Cardinals are a great football team. So let's look ahead for a couple of games just real quick. That is probably going to have a big playoff implication. So, like I said, the Raiders and Chiefs are playing with each other, are playing against each other. It's going to be a tough game for the Raiders, of course, because we all know Kansas City's the cream of the crop of the NFL. To be honest with you, all roads lead through them. So we really have to go ahead and look out for them. So the Raiders in Kansas City in Las Vegas. If the Raiders are able to win this game, then look, they might be in a division. You never know. Kansas City, their one loss did come against the Raiders in Arrowhead Stadium, so you never know. So another good game to really look out for is the Colts and Packers. The Packers are going to win their division, so we're not really worried about what the Packers got going on. But the Colts, they need to win this game. They're at home in Indianapolis, so they have to win that game if they want to stay in the playoff hunt, in the divisional race at all. The Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Cleveland Browns, that could be another big game for the Browns to really take that step up in the wild card division. And so yeah. Those are and the Titans and Ravens. That's another big game as well, because the Ravens are in the outside looking in as well, and so are the Titans. So that could be a big playoff type game. That could be a big playoff type game. So it's going to be a lot of good games coming up this week that we have to monitor, and we're definitely going to go ahead and look towards that. So So we're going to definitely keep an eye out for the NFL season as it's coming to the midway points and the middle point. It's the grinded out games and like the games you need to win to get into the playoffs. So we're going to go ahead and keep on the lookout for that. So let's go ahead and continue on to our next topic. And like I said, if you want to go ahead and comment on anything, by all means, please do that. And if you want to talk about the NFL season so far, then please, by all means, go ahead and comment. So let's continue on to the NBA draft. Now, the NBA draft was last night, and it was a virtual draft, and it was some pretty surprising picks. From what I thought it was a big surprise for in my opinion. So let's go ahead and speak on the top 5, and then we're going to move down to a couple of steals I think that some teams may have able to get. So let's talk about so let's start off the top 5, and let's start off with number 1. So the Minnesota Timberwolves were able to draft Anthony Edwards, and I thought this was going to happen because of the scheme fit. I thought it would work well for a fit. I don't think LaMelo Ball would have been a good pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves because D'Angelo Russell is there, and he's a ball-dominant guard, so he needs the ball. So is LaMelo Ball. They're both ball-dominant guards that needs the ball in their hands to really, be valuable to their team. So Anthony Edwards, small forward from Georgia, was able to fit in. He's a good he's a athletic player, able to get to the rim very easy. He has a good mid-range shot. On defense, sometimes he can have his his moments where he's not playing defense wholeheartedly. So if he can able to step his game up defensively, he could be 100% worth a number 1 pick. So he was able to go first. I think he was going to be a good fit with both D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. And with him coming in, I think he was able to really excuse me. We able to come in and do a good job as far as being a good scheme fit for the team. Now, if they're able to build around this team, then look, Minnesota could be in the eighth seed. You never know. So we're going to have to keep a lookout for Anthony Edwards. If he can do well in the defensive end, he's going to score. He's going to get his score. So we have to really look at that. Okay, so number 2, which is the Golden State Warriors. And they was able to draft James Wiseman from Memphis. Now, James Wiseman is a very athletic guy. He can block shots. He can score around the rim. He has a great mid-range jumper. I think that's a perfect fit for Golden State Warriors. They needed a very dominant center. They really didn't need a dominant center in their championship runs because look, we had Steph Curry, Clay, and we had KD when he was there. You don't need a center, to be honest with you. But you can tell this year they needed that top center because they were bullied throughout the whole year because Eric Paschall, he was there. He's a really small guy. Draymond Green is really not that tall. They was getting bullied around throughout the whole season against a lot larger teams, like the Lakers in their own division, right? It was getting bullied. They was getting bullied the whole year. So I think with James Wiseman coming in, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. So they're not going to get bullied on the inside. I think they're going to have a lot more interior presence in the paint now that James Wiseman is there. And so it stinks with Klay Thompson. He injured his Achilles a couple of days ago, and he's out for another season, which really hurts Golden State. They was able to um, get Kelly Oubre in a trade, who's a very scoring first wing player who's going to do well in the Warriors system. And so that's a good pickup for them. But I mean, you really can't replace Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is so versatile, especially on defense. He's a strong defender. He can shoot the ball. One best spot up shooters in the NBA. Without him, it's going to be another hard year, I think, for the Warriors. So you know, that's really bad for them. I'm kind of sad that has to happen to Klay Thompson. He's such a good player. He's such a good player. So unfortunately, he's not there. He's not there. And look, so we're gonna have to see how the Golden State Warriors do this year. So let's continue on. Number 3 on the list, which was the Charlotte Hornets. They was able to draft LaMelo Ball. And you know, everybody who knows basketball knows LaMelo Ball. You know, who started off his high school career at Chino Hills High School. Was a freshman playing varsity. Was like that small kid that was, you know, doing that, playing with his brothers, doing good. Then was able to start getting a lot taller and stronger. Now he's the 3rd pick in the NBA draft, and I think that's a good pick for a good generational piece for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, don't get me wrong, that team is bad. That team is really bad, and they need a lot of good free agent players to come to Charlotte to really help LaMelo Ball, because it's going to be another rough year. It's not too much talent other than Devontae Graham on that team. So if they're able to get a lot of free agents, which is really tough, especially for Charlotte, because nobody really wants to play in Charlotte. So, you know, unless they're you know, giving them boatloads of money, nobody really wants to play for Charlotte. So if they're able to build around LaMelo Ball's skill set, who's a great ball handler, he's a good playmaker, he can shoot, he's a streaky shooter. Once he gets hot, he'll start making a lot of 3-pointers. And he's very strong on defense. That's the one thing about the Ball brothers, especially Lonzo. He can play some defense. So and that trickled down to their younger brothers. And LaMelo can play defense and rebound, but sometimes on defense he doesn't give his whole 100% on the court, which I think, you know, puts him down sometimes. But when LaMelo Ball is playing very strong, it's hard to stop him. It's very hard to stop him. So we really have to look out for LaMelo Ball when he's playing for the Hornets. Now, like I said, they need a lot of free agents to really come and play in Charlotte. I mean, look, either Michael Jordan's going to have to, you know, show off his stature and his name or something, but a team is not that good. A team is not that good, just to be honest with you. So number 4, the Chicago Bulls. I think this was the start of the biggest surprise of the draft. And they chose Patrick Willis from Florida State. And the reason why this was a big surprise, because Patrick Williams never started for Florida State. He was a bench player coming off the bench for Florida State. And he only averaged like 9 points a game, which is not a lot. I guess that's good for the bench in college, but that's a big reach for a number 4 pick. And so you look, it's another guy who's a very athletic guy. He plays above the rim, so that could really help out defensively. But with the Chicago Bulls, look, they already have Zach LaVine who plays that same position as Patrick Williams do. And also, you know what? It's tough for the Bulls. The Bulls has a lot of work to do. But this was a big stretch. This was a big stretch. I thought Obi Toppin would have been a good pick for the Bulls to really play that power forward position. But I guess they're really not going to try that since they have Wendell Carter there already. So I guess Patrick Williams fits what the team needs. But hey, I could be wrong. I believe there was a lot more, players that fit the need to really that fit the needs for the Chicago Bulls. But look, I'm not a GM, so they got the player that the Chicago wanted, and Patrick Williams is there. So let's continue on to finish the top 5, which was the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they was able to take Isaac Okoro, who is from Auburn. So look, Cleveland has a lot of guards, so they didn't need a guard. They could have used a big man because look, I'll take that back because look, Andre Drummond is there, Kevin Love is there, so I guess Okoro could fit into that 3 spot that they needed desperately because there was the last year that I think that was the one position that they needed help with because Kevin Porter Jr. was there, but he's kind of getting himself into some trouble now. So unfortunately, he's been having a tough time the past couple of months, and I hope he's able to get it by. It's another USC guy that I really enjoyed watching during his time in college. But he comes in, he's a very strong defender. He could defend a lot of positions, the 1 through 4 position. Not a very good scorer, but I guess you really don't need a lot of scoring when you have Darius Garland and Colin Sexton there already. So you bring in a guy who's going to basically play defense for your team. And so he's going to fit in very well, I think, in Cleveland. But Cleveland has a lot of growing up to do. That's a very young team. So they need a lot of these players to really start, getting into that NBA mode and start growing up fast. They want to be a successful team, but I think it's a good start. I think it's a very good start. So let's talk about some steals of the draft. I think some players was out there, a lot of steals in the draft. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those steals in the draft. So number 6 with the picks was the Atlanta Hawks. Excuse me, and they was able to pick up Onyeka Okongwu from USC. Another guy coming from Chino Hills who played with LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball, and those guys, who's a dominant high school team during their run. In like 2015, I think they was like the best team, like out of like one of the best high school teams in like ever to assemble in high school basketball. You had Lonzo Ball, LiAngelo Ball, who's a G League player, LaMelo Ball, who's the 3rd pick, Onyeka Okongwu. And they have another guy. I can't remember his name. He plays for Louisiana. He plays for LMU, which is Loyola Marymount. And he's a great player too. He could be in the pros coming up pretty soon. So Onyeka Okongwu from USC, a very strong defender. I think that Atlanta needed a very strong, athletic big man who's going to block a lot of shots. And who's going to get a lot of pick and roll opportunities with Trae Young. And he's going to be a beneficiary of a lot of lobs out there in Atlanta with a great point guard like Trae Young. And Trae Young is primed to have one of the best seasons that we ever seen, like a point guard. I think Trae Young is the closest thing to Steph Curry that I've seen out of the NBA. I think he's the closest one. He can shoot from anywhere. He can get to the rim. He's a great passer. So Trae Young is very, very, very good. He's very good. So I think Onyeka Okongwu is going to fit very well in there. He's going to play his defense. He's going to score. He doesn't have like a very strong back to the basket type game. He's not one of those guys that you can throw it down to the post and say, hey, go ahead and give me a bucket. He's not going to be that type of guy, especially not his first year. Not that they're saying he's not going to develop into one of those players. But for right now, he's not at that point. He's not at that point. So I think he's going to fit well in Atlanta. Let's move down to the number 8 pick with the New York Knicks. Obi Toppin from Dayton. He, the power forward, I thought that should have been drafted number 4. He drops down to 8 to the New York Knicks. And I think that's a big pickup for the Knicks. I think they're going to be a very athletic team there with Mitchell Robinson being there. He's a strong defender. I think Obi Toppin's going to come in, play above the rim. And he's a good versatile scorer that can score in like many different ways. So the face-up game, down low, back to the basket. We're going to have to see how he does defensively. He's not exactly the biggest guy in the world as far as big men, but he's very athletic, so that could help him. But look, the Knicks need a lot of help. The Knicks need a lot of help. They need to figure out their point guard situation because they do not have a point guard that's really good at all. So the Knicks need a lot of help. Number 9, Washington Wizards. I think they had a steal of the draft getting Deni Avdija from Israel. I think he's going to be like a poor man's Luka Doncic. You know, he can handle the ball. He can drive to the hole. He can shoot as well. And, you know, with these international players, they bring a different game to the NBA. And a lot of these international players is really taking over the NBA. And they're bringing skill sets that not a lot of players can bring to the NBA because, you know, a lot of these European guys are really not that athletic, to be honest with you. Other than Giannis, I think that's the only athletic guy. Because let's be real, Luka Doncic is not athletic by any stretch of the imagination. Who else is a dominant big man? Jokic, Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets, not athletic by any stretch of the imagination. So look, Kristaps Porzingis not athletic. You know, a lot of these European guys are really not that athletic, but you know, with their skill set and their attention to detail, and you know that just brings them above and beyond when they come to the NBA. Other than Giannis, that man is an athletic freak. He's just one of those, you know, one of those players, one of those generational talents you just can't teach. Like, you know, when he came into the league, he was all skinny, and when Giannis added the weight, MVP caliber players. So I think Deni Avdija can come in and do the same thing, be a poor man's Luka Doncic, and just, you know, it should all come with the experience. I think it's going to have some growing pains when he comes into the NBA, which everybody does, but I think pretty soon down the road he's going to be a great player. So let's continue on. I want to talk about one more player, and that's Tyrese Halliburton. I think that is a big pickup. Point guard. He's a point guard from who was drafted by the Sacramento Kings. Now this is very interesting because De'Aaron Fox is already there in Sacramento. So I think he's probably going to play more of a 2 guard. I think they're going to have a little combo guard situation going on there with De'Aaron Fox playing the 1 and Halliburton playing the 2. But he was a strong defender. He was a bulldog playing in college. He plays very good defense. I think that's why it's the Kings brought him in because, look, Buddy Hield is on his way out. Let's be honest. Buddy Hield does not want to play for Sacramento by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think him and Luke Walton really sees eye to eye. So, look, Buddy Hield is on his way out. So you bring in Halliburton, and I think that's going to be a good 3-headed monster with him, DeAndre Fox, and Marvin Bagley, his big man. I think Marvin Bagley is going to be a great big man. He still, has to develop a little bit more, but I think this is going to be a good year for him coming up, even though the season is coming up in like less than a month, I think. Let's see. About a month and 2 days. So the season started December 22nd. So yeah, I think Tyrese Halliburton was a good pickup. I think he dropped really far in the draft. I expected him to go at least 4 or 5, to be honest with you. But things happen, and so yeah, those were some of the players that I thought were steals in the draft. If I had to say up front, who's more NBA ready as of right now, like right now, who I think is NBA ready, I think it's James Wiseman. Just for Golden State, I think James Wiseman is going to come in and really assert himself from Jump Street. You cannot teach athleticism. That is like a God-given talent that just comes to you. And with James Wiseman, unfortunately, he hasn't played in such a long time because he was ineligible to play in the NCAA because his family, I think, took some money and moved into the house, move into a house in Memphis so he can get recruited to Memphis. So he had to change his address. I can't remember what the situation was, but he was ineligible to play. So he really hasn't played organized ball since he was in high school, which is a long time ago. But look, I think James Wiseman is going to come in and really assert himself. I think he's the most NBA ready player right now. And, with big man, he's going to have some growing pains. He's going to have to play with the likes of Anthony Davis, Ivica Zubac, who's a good player. For the Clippers, a good post player. He's going to have to play some good players, good big men, because the big men are coming back. But I think he's the most NBA ready. I think he's the most NBA ready right now. So I think James Wiseman is going to be a good player. I think a lot of these players are going to be very good players, but I think James Wiseman is the most NBA ready right now. So that is the end of that topic. And like I said, if you want to comment on your team's draft pick, then by all means, we can go ahead and talk about it. If you feel he's going to be a great player for your team, it's going to be a bust, let me know. Let me know in the comment section. We can go ahead and speak on that. So let's continue on to our last topic, and that is the NBA. That's the NBA free agency. The NBA free agency is set to start next week. Excuse me. It's set to start. Tomorrow. And so, this is the biggest time of. It's the biggest time in the NBA. This could make you into a playoff team, or it could make you a worse team by any stretch of the imagination. I remember when Dwight Howard left his first time when he played for the Lakers. When he left, the Lakers were bad for the next up until this year. Basically this year when they won the championship. When Dwight Howard left to go to Houston, I believe. I think that's where he went to Houston. The Lakers was bad, and that was in free agency, right? So this free agency is one of the biggest times of the year. So let's look at some of the top free agents out there this year. So let's start off, especially we have to start off number one, right? And that's Anthony Davis. Now, to be honest with you, Anthony Davis is going back to LA, right? I don't think you win a championship and then you just leave that championship team to play somewhere else. The only realistic place I can see Anthony Davis going to is maybe Chicago, because he's from Chicago. That would be the only place I can see him leaving. But other than that, I don't see him leaving. I don't see him leaving the Los Angeles Lakers. I think it's just, a matter of time. They're going to lay out a long-term deal for him, and he's going to be a Laker for a long time. Like, yeah, he's going to be a Laker. So look, that's the biggest free agent out there. Anthony Davis. Everybody wants Anthony Davis on their team, and but look, I think he's going to stay in LA. I don't see him leaving that at all. So let's look at another team that has a big free agent. Serge Ibaka from the Toronto Raptors, who was able to win a championship in 2019. He's out there. There's a lot of teams that wants his services. And I think he's going to get a good payday. I think he's going to get an okay payday. The Lakers wants him. He could return to Toronto if he please, because he is an international player, another international player that's out there. So we really have to look out for him. Another big free agent is Brandon Ingram. Even though he's a restricted free agent, I think the Pelicans are going to give him a good deal. They're going to match whoever offers him a contract. They're going to match that offer. Since he's a restricted free agent, the Pelicans basically can say, look, we're not getting rid of Brandon Ingram. He really doesn't have much of a say-so because he is a restricted free agent and he's still on his rookie deal. So once he becomes an unrestricted free agent, that's kind of his biggest payday. But Brandon Ingram's going to get some money from the Pelicans. He's going to remain a Pelican. But he's another big free agent out there. And let's continue on and look at some other free agents. We also have Montrezl Harrell, Sixth Man of the Year this year from the Los Angeles Clippers. He's going to want a big payday. Now it's going to be hard for me to see him return to the Los Angeles Clippers. But hey, you never know. You really never know. He could go back. It's a lot of chaos going with the Los Angeles Clippers because, they take care of their stars in Los Angeles. But it could be different now that Doc Rivers is gone. But, I mean, you basically brought in Tyronn Lue, who's basically like a Doc Rivers light. So it could be the same thing. So Montrezl Harrell could be on his way out. He's going to want a big payday. Let's look at another couple of players out there. Rajon Rondo, who we all know played so well in all the playoffs, was a big part of the Lakers championship run this year. He wants a big payday. And now that with the addition of Dennis Schroeder from the trade with Danny Green to Oklahoma City, which he ended up in Philly, with the Philadelphia 76ers, because the Thunder ended up trading him as well, Danny Green to the Sixers. Now that Dennis Schroeder is here, he's definitely going to come off the bench. So I think that basically pushed Rajon Rondo out the door of Los Angeles. Even though he could go to the Clippers, and I thought that was going to be a good fit altogether, because the Clippers need a leader. And like I said, Paul George is really not a leader. Kawhi Leonard is so quiet. He's not going to be a vocal guy. Rajon Rondo is going to be a vocal guy. And, with his big basketball brain that he has, he's definitely past his prime. He's definitely not the Celtics Rondo that you're going to get, but you're going to get a veteran leader who's going to be vocal for that team, who's going to do everything in his power to not lose games. So that could be a great fit for the Clippers. Let's also look at Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, who played so well for the Los Angeles Lakers in his comeback season. He had a non-guaranteed contract, which they ended up guaranteeing his money for the whole year in the middle of the season. He played so well for the Los Angeles Lakers, especially in the playoffs. He did a big job for them. He did a good job for them to win. He did a good job against Nikola Jokic when they made that switch from JaVale McGee to him to start him in that series. He played Jokic very well. And so Dwight Howard wants to get paid now. He's already said on record he wants to get paid this year. Excuse me. So yeah, he wants to get his money. He wants to get his money. So Dwight Howard's going to look for a big contract. I think the Lakers will go ahead and try to bring him back. I think he's a big asset that they can't lose. Even though JaVale McGee did opt into his contract, so he's not going to be a free agent. He's going to come back to LA. So that's going to be a big deal for them. Now, look, we also got to figure out a lot of these trades that's going to be happening pretty soon, and we're going to have to look at you know what's going to happen with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. I think both of them trying to get out of Houston at their earliest convenience, especially Russell Westbrook. I think he does not want to be there. I think the Knicks will be a good pickup for him. Be a good place for Russell Westbrook to really, show off his talent because he wants to be a ball dominant guard. He's already said that he wants to do that, and he can't do that in Houston because look, James Harden is there, and he needs the ball in his hand to really create offense. Russell Westbrook cannot play off the ball because he really can't shoot, and just having him sitting in the corner waiting for the ball and let James Harden, do whatever he does for like majority of the shot clock. It's not really helping Russell Westbrook game. So when he gets the ball in his hand, I think that's when he's most dominant because he can get up the floor very quickly. He's so strong, he can get to the rim. That's his game. That's his style. So you really have to look at the Knicks. The Knicks is going to be a good place for him. I think so. And James Harden wants to get out of Houston. I don't think he's really good with the new GM that has came into Houston. So he's doing everything in his power to go to Houston. He's already declined his deal, the rest of his deal in Houston. So I think after this year he's going to be a free agent. I want to make sure that's correct because I don't want to say anything off script that is not true. So, I mean, it is true that he did decline his deal. So that was basically a big thing to really say, hey, I think I'm ready to get out of Houston. So yeah, it's he wants to get out of Houston and he wants to play. I think, okay, so let me go back. I think James Harden has another 2 years on this deal. After his 2 years, he'll be a free agent. And so I don't think he's going to be in Houston for too much longer. I think he wants to play. I think the idea of him playing with Kyrie Irving and KD, Kevin Durant, is a big deal. But look, that's going to be a tough situation. Let's be real because Kyrie is another ball dominant, point guard who does well with the ball. He doesn't do well off the ball trying to play that role of being like a spot up shooter or anything. James Harden probably could, but he needs the ball in his hands too, and so does KD. So it's going to be hard to really figure out how Steve Nash is going to give the ball to. I think Kyrie Irving is the man that they need to make sure that they need to keep the ball in his hand because that's the way he operates. And look, that would be a crazy team if they come together. Oh my goodness. But look, it's a lot of players out there, good players too at that could really help a lot of these teams out right now, and so I'm excited, what free agency has to offer, because we all know free agency is such a crazy time, and so I'm excited to see how this operates, and like I said, this could really be a make or break type of deal. That can happen. So we're going to be on the lookout for that, and we're going to see who goes where. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on to the show as always. Like we're going to be here each and every we're going to be here next Friday at like usual. And so I like I said, if you guys want to go ahead, we're gonna figure out some discussions. I think next week we're definitely going to talk about free agency and what player went where. And so we're gonna definitely discuss the NFL, and whatever else that happens. You never know with sports, right? Anything can happen in sports. So we'll definitely figure it all out to next week. So I appreciate everybody who came to the show. And so on Twitch, I'm just going to end the stream actually. So I usually just don't end the stream like that, but I am. And on Facebook and YouTube, I appreciate you guys as always coming to the channel. So until next time, guys, peace.